Hello and welcome. In this video, we will know about data types, variables, and constants. Data items include all the text, numbers, and other information that are processed by a computer. When you input data items into a computer, they are stored in variables in memory where they can be processed and converted to information that is output. When you write programs, you work with data in three different forms: variables, literals or unnamed constants, and named constants. Variables are named memory locations whose contents can vary or differ over time. We can represent that in a rectangle. The ability of variables to change in value is what makes computers and programming worthwhile. We can compare variable as a box. A box can be used repeatedly and can contain different items, just like a variable which can be used repeatedly with different values. Declaration, a statement that provides a data type and an identifier for a variable. An identifier is a variable's name. The process of naming program variables and assigning a type to them is called making declarations or declaring variables. A data item's data type is classification that describes the following: what values can be held by the item, how the item is stored in computer memory, what operations can be performed on the data item. For us to understand what is data type, let's go back to our illustration about the box. You can put any item in a box, like food, books, and clothes. These are items with different categories. These different categories are like data types in programming. Most computer languages allow at least two distinct types of variables: numeric variable and string variable. Numeric variable is one that can hold digits and have mathematical operations performed on it. Also, you usually have the option of having a numeric variable hold a decimal point and a sign indicating positive or negative. A string variable can hold text, such as letters of the alphabet and other special characters such as punctuation marks. A string variable can also hold digits either with or without other characters. The syntax for declaring a variable: data type, variable name, and semicolon. Example: int count. Declaring count to be an integer variable. Double radius, semicolon. It means declaring radius to be a double variable. Double interest rate, semicolon. Meaning, we declare interest rate to be a double variable. A primitive data type is a simple non-object data type that represents a single value. The Java programming language defines 8 primitive data types, namely Boolean for logical, char for textual, byte, short, int, or long for integral, double and float for floating point. Textual char. A character data type, or char or char, represents a single Unicode character. It must have its literal enclosed in a single quotes. Example: char I is equal to single quote A and close single quote, semicolon. Integral, byte, short, int, and long. Integral data types have int as default data type. Usually, these are whole numbers. Example, int count semicolon. Floating point are float and double. A floating point literal includes a decimal point. Example, double interest rate semicolon. Logical, Boolean. There are two states, true and false. Example of syntax, Boolean, user is equal to true, semicolon. Variables often have initial values. Declaring int count is equal to 1, semicolon, is also equivalent to declaration of int count semicolon count is equal to 1 semicolon. Named constants. A named constant is an identifier that represents a permanent value. Syntax, final, data type, constant name is equal to value, semicolon. Example, final, double, pi is equal to 3.14156, semicolon. Sticking with the Java naming conventions makes your programs easy to read and avoids errors. Tip number 1. Use lowercase for variables and methods. Examples are radius, area, print. If a name consists of several words, concatenate them into one, making the first word lowercase and capitalizing the first letter of each subsequent word. Example, number of students. This naming style is known as the camel case because the uppercase characters in the name resemble a camel's humps. Capitalize the first letter of each word in a class name. Example, compute area, system. Tip number 3. Capitalize every letter in a constant and use underscores between words. Example, capital PI for pi, capital max underscore value. Always choose descriptive names with straightforward meanings for the variables, constants, classes, and methods in your program. Again, naming conventions makes your programs easy to read and avoids errors. A variable declared in a method must be assigned a value before it can be used. Whenever possible, declare a variable and assign its initial value in one step. This will make the program easy to read and avoid programming errors. Just like what you can see in this video. The figure shows the flowchart and pseudocode of number doubling program with variable declarations. The declared variables are my number and my answer. As you can see, they are declared before they are used in a program for the first time. I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching this video.